Greetings and welcome to this edition of
Positronic Hypersonic.
I'm Barry P. Cook. I'm here to talk to you about the season 4 premiere of Superman and Lois. This is the final season, as we all know, which is a sad thing, but they opened with 2 episodes and I want to talk about them. So the first one is called The End and the Beginning. And as it started, Jordan put out a fire at the farm, and Lois asked him to listen for his grandfather's voice so they could find him, because if you remember, he was kidnapped at the end of last season. Then there's a flashback to just after Clark had told Lois he was Superman, and she's still stunned by it, but she gets over it quickly and wants to get down, but they have to pause as Clark explains that he hasn't lost his V card yet, which doesn't faze Lois at all, which is awesome. Back in the present, Superman fights Doomsday off-world after having lost his cape along the way. Lex bothers Lois at work to again threaten her to quit journalism, as Superman and her dad can no longer protect her. Then we get another flashback to just after Clark and Lois had been married, and he'd had a fight with some kryptonite-armed gangs, but seems unalarmed. In the present, the general's fake girlfriend, now his jailer, offers him water, but he declines, and they argue about her being a duplicitous such and such, before Lex calls and orders him murdered, causing him to try to persuade her otherwise, with promises of government help with a new identity and relocation and such, but she declines before kissing him and subsequently getting knocked out by the general, who had managed to get free from the chair he was tied to. Lex confronts the boys at the diner about how Lois messed up his life. There's another flashback to when Lex tried to get Lois to understand that he wasn't guilty and not to run her article saying otherwise, but she didn't listen. In the present, the general didn't get very far before Otis nabs him and digs him a grave as Lex orders Otis to bury him alive. We then get another flashback to Lois having had a seizure while in labor with the boys. In the present, Jordan hears Sam's ex and takes Lois to her location, where Jordan kicks Otis's ass and rescues the general. At the DoD hospital, Lois tells the general what happened to Superman last she knew. Next, Lex is informed about the general having been rescued. In space, the fight continues as Superman tries to fend off Doomsday with heat vision but fails, getting pummeled through an asteroid which explodes, seemingly resulting in his death. Jordan hears Doomsday returning to Earth, and he arrives dragging a lifeless Superman before flying off to meet Lex. Lois goes to Superman's body and gasps in horror when she seems to see that his heart is gone, and she and the boys cry over his seeming corpse. Doomsday delivers what seems to be the heart to Lex, and that's where the episode ended. The second episode was called A World Without, and as it starts, Lana and her daughter arrive on the scene where Lois is crying over Clark's body with the boys. Lois tells Jordan to take Clark to the Fortress of Solitude, but not even his mother knows what can be done. Lana and her daughter show up at the Kent farm to commiserate with Lois and the boys. Lana thinks she might be able to stop the sale of the hotel to Lex's company, because she had to approve it originally as mayor, but Lois urges her to stay away because she doesn't want him to go after her and her daughter, and the hotel, of course, being where Lex is now going to be living in Smallville. Lex's lady friend urges him to go back to Metropolis to deal with his business empire, but he just wants to stay in Smallville for the moment and enjoy his victory over Superman, though he does agree to meet with someone from his company who has a proposal for him. Jonathan confronts Jordan over the fact that he's been trying to find Doomsday, and he explains that he wants to get Clark's heart back. Lana's daughter urges her to do something to try to stop Luthor, but she resists the idea because she doesn't want to make them both a target of Lex. Superboy confronts Lex during his meeting at a restaurant and demands that he give Superman's heart to him, but Lex isn't impressed with Superboy because he declines to really do any harm to him because he knows that only Luthor can get him what he wants. Lois confronts Luthor at his room in the hotel and says she's going to take the rest of his life from him, and he explains that this is the second time that someone in her family threatened him today, and that he knows not only that Superboy is Jordan, but that Superman was Clark. One of the townspeople goes to Lana with a matter concerning the Kents. Lois confronts Jordan about how he dropped the ball and inadvertently spilled the beans about their secret. Lana calls Lois to come and meet with her, and it turns out that the man who went to see Lana, a town resident named Chuck, figured out who Clark was. Jordan begins to hear Clark's heart beating. Lex goes to the diner where Sarah works, and she concocts a plan with Jonathan to keep him busy so that Jonathan can go and look for the heart in the hotel while Jordan follows the sound of the heart. Lois gets a call from what seems to be Clark, but it's not him, of course. It's Lex pretending to be him, warning her that both of her kids are in danger and that one of them is going to die, urging her to choose which one. Lana goes into the hotel to get Jonathan out, and Jordan is ambushed with kryptonite rays at the location where he found a Superman toy mimicking Clark's heartbeat. He is able to stand up and fight back, though only briefly before he's knocked down. However, when one of his attackers approaches him while he's lying on the ground, he jumps to his feet and attacks him, demanding to know where Luthor is, but then a sonic weapon is used and he's put on the floor again. Lex then arrives and continues attacking him with the sonic weapon. Jordan demands the heart, and Lex offers him a heart, but continues torturing him with the device while he tries to reach it. Luthor then crushes the heart with his boot instead of killing Jordan. Very distraught, Jordan goes to let his mother know what happened. Lois says it's time that they go and say goodbye to Clark. Lex learns that the general knows where his daughter is. He's been looking for his daughter. Superman's mom plays an AI of Clark that Clark made for Lois and the boys in the event of his death. He tells them that he'll always be there to help, but that out in the world, it's just the three of them. And that's where the second episode ended. So I thought this was a really strong premiere for the fourth and final season. And, it's just another reminder that this show really shouldn't be canceled, that it's really too good to be canceled. Everybody did a great job with the acting and the fight sequence, that they showed. There were two of them really, were just incredible for, the small screen, approaching feature film quality. It was really rough watching Superman get the tar beat out of him, and the scene where Doomsday comes back with Superman and he's all lifeless, and then Lois, you know, freaks out when she sees that he doesn't have a heart was just really tough to watch, but just well done. And both of the boys, playing the Kent sons did a great job as well. And it just all around is a great show, and these episodes were no exception. The guy playing Lex Luthor, who used to play on The Walking Dead, I used to call his character Ginger Spice, especially did an excellent job playing Lex Luthor. He creeps me out. He's very foreboding. He makes you feel a sense of foreboding. He's very intimidating. He's just crazy scary, and Lex Luthor's never been this scary before in live action or even in animation. And I'm just loving every second of it, and it just makes me that much more excited to see Superman kick his ass before the season's over. But he's just doing an excellent job, and uh, you know, it's just great stuff. I was very glad to see Lana and her daughter, whose name is Sarah, in these two episodes because when they renewed the show for the fourth and final season, they said they were going to save money by cutting cast members, and these two characters were listed as characters that weren't going to come back. So I was happy to see them because I really liked the Lana character. And I also like Sarah. I want to see her get back with Jordan. We don't know how many of the next 8 episodes they're going to be in, and I would really hate it if they're only in another one or two. So it remains to be seen how many of the episodes they're going to be in. I hope they're in, you know, 5 or 6 of them because I think they're great characters, and I think Lana deserves to be there when Superman comes back and kicks Lex's ass because she's known Clark all his life basically, and she's important to him and he's important to her, and it would really suck if she doesn't have a significant part in this season. So we'll have to see how much of a part she gets to play. Now, the other character that was in this episodes that was reportedly cut is the General, Sam Lane. What I read at the time of the renewal of the season was that they offered him, 6 or 7 episodes or 5 or 6 episodes out of the 10, and he was like, nah, I'm good, and decided not to come back. Yet he was in these 2 episodes. The thing is, I think that they left it off where he's in the hospital recovering. I don't think we're going to see him the rest of the season. He might come back in the last episode, maybe the last two, but it won't be before that. I don't think. They might just write him off completely by the end with a line of dialogue because But from what I heard, he wasn't going to come back. And in the hospital recovering is a great place to leave it as far as his character is concerned. So we'll have to see, what happens from there. There was a mention of Brainiac in one of the episodes, and that was interesting. So we'll have to see if that bears any fruit. I doubt it. There's only 8 episodes left of the whole show, but who knows? They might just go gangbusters and pull out all the stops before, they wrap everything up. The other thing I'm wondering is how long it's going to take before Superman comes back and, starts to go down the path of getting Lex. On the one hand, they don't want to do it too quickly because then they have to spend that much longer having him not destroy Lex until the end of the season. But they don't want to wait too long to bring him back because then it starts to kind of be lame, where it's a Superman show without Superman. So how are they going to get that mix right? Is he going to come back right away in episode 3? Will it be episode 4? I really hope they don't push it to episode 5. They're trying to cut costs for the final season, and one of the things that costs money is the Superman effects. So you'd think, okay, they're keeping him out of it to save money, and they might drag that out. But at the same time, so far they've had Jordan doing super stuff, so they haven't cut any super stuff yet. And another theory was that once they did bring Superman back, he wasn't going to have his powers because that was going to be another way for them to cut costs, without keeping him out of the show too long. But I spoke to Tyler Hoechlin myself at Rhode Island Comic Con this past November, and he laughed off the idea that they were going to have Superman in the show but not use his powers. He hadn't heard anything like that at the time, from the production people. So he didn't think that was going to be a thing. It remains to be seen. Hopefully they don't keep him out of it too long. We'll find out when we find out, I suppose. Anyway, that's all I have to say about the 2 episode premiere. I'm going to get out of here for now. I'll be back with another video soon. Until I return, I wish you peace and long life.